We're finally talking about my favorite movie of all time, so let's just get right into it. Hello there, welcome back to the channel. I am Grand Moff Tony. Today, we're going to be returning to my wishlist series and talking about The Empire Strikes Back, my favorite Star Wars movie and my favorite movie of all time. I absolutely love this film. It has everything. Anything you could want from a Star Wars story, it has it. It's got the romance between Han and Leia, it's got learning about the Force with Yoda on Dagobah, it's got the epic duel between Luke and Vader. It's just a perfect movie, and every time I watch it, it gets better, so it's only natural that I would want as many Empire Strikes Back figures as I could get my greasy little paws on. And the good part about that is, with it being part of the original trilogy, and with it being one of the most popular Star Wars movies ever made, it has pretty decent representation in the Black Series. In fact, back when I was just getting into seriously collecting, the 40th anniversary Empire Strikes Back line was everywhere. Like, it was all over stores, and it was very, very easy to find, and those were some of my first figures, were the Empire Strikes Back anniversary versions of old figures. That's where I got my Luke, that's where I got my Han and Leia, that's where I got my Lando. It's just a great line. But it could do with a few more choices, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be picking out 5 characters from The Empire Strikes Back that I would like to see come to the Black Series. Now, as usual with these lists, I'm going to be following my typical rules, which are, we're talking about single release figures and deluxe figures, no HasLabs, no vehicles, and this one I did have to change because initially the number 1 pick was going to be a Cloud Car, but I just had to scrap it because I found out how big that would be, and Hasbro would never go for it as a general release vehicle. It would have to be a HasLab. So before we get into the list, let's go over a couple of honorable mentions, just like we always do. My first pick for honorable mentions this time around would be the medical droid from Echo Base. I would like to put this droid in a deluxe set with the Bacta tank. I feel like we could get so much use out of the Bacta tank. I would love to just have those opportunities. You could use it for Luke, you could use it for an Obi-Wan Kenobi series Vader. It's just a great bit of kit, and I love this droid. It's got such a cool design to it. Like, you look at it and you can tell that's a doctor. It's a doctor droid. It's a nice droid. For my second honorable mention, I wanted to throw out some love to Wilro Hood, one of the most famous background characters in all of Star Wars, and the origin of the Camtono. I would love to get this guy in the Black Series. I think that would just be absolutely hilarious. If for no other reason than to just get the Camtono back into the line again, because we need to get that accessory out there. It's like, don't get me wrong, the Client's Wave is still very much available, but I haven't seen one on the shelf for a while, so I would like to get this accessory into the line once again. And speaking of accessories, if we could find a way to get Vader's helmet with Luke's head inside it into the Black Series, just as like a one-off accessory that came with something, I would love that. I think that would be absolutely great. You got the helmet and it's sort of broken away, and you got Luke's face underneath from the Dark Side cave. I think that would be a brilliant accessory. But honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the actual list. Coming in at number 5, we have the Bespin Wing Guard. This was a classic old figure that came out way back in the Kenner days, and I would just like to bring it back to the line. I think these guys look great. The stark blue uniform with the gold or the yellow outlines, I think it just looks fantastic. They'd be a brilliant little figure. I don't usually pick army builders when I'm talking about wish lists, but the Wing Guard I feel like would look so good. We have so many great Bespin figures already that just being able to fill out the display with just a couple of guys that look really smart and look really official, I think that would really elevate the old Empire Strikes Back display and really give us something cool to look at. A big reason behind this pick is mostly because I feel like it would be incredibly easy. It would be ridiculously easy to produce this figure. The parts that you would need to produce it probably already exist in the line. If you look at the old Death Star Trooper figure, you could probably figure something out with that to bring in the Wing Guard. It's a very, very simple design, and it's very, very easy to produce, I think. So, obviously I talked in the introduction that I really wanted to put a Cloud Car on this list because I have have a very, very rich history with the Cloud Car. It was one of my favorite vehicles to fly on Star Wars Demolition back in the day, just because I loved that you could carbon freeze the enemy ships, and it was just, oh, that takes me right back. With the graphics of the time, it was probably a bunch of squares flying around, but I don't remember it that way. I remember it being awesome. But obviously, the Cloud Car would be way too big for this line. I mean, look how big the Snowspeeder is, and Cloud Cars are way bigger than this. So I would just like to bring in the Wing Guard, and then, you know, naughty little nudge nudge. Maybe the next Black Series HasLab could be a Cloud Car. Nudge nudge. The Bespin Wing Guard come in at number 5.
You will not deviate from your present course.
At number 4, we are keeping the Bespin theme going with Princess Leia's Bespin dress. Now, this is one of the few Leia looks that we don't have in the line already. I don't want to stick my neck all the way out and say it's the only one, because I know there are a couple from the sequels that we don't have yet, but I think in terms of the original trilogy, this is probably the last one that we need, and then we're all good with Princess Leia's, and I would buy it as quickly as I bought the other 8 or 9 Princess Leia figures that I have. This dress looks incredible, and it's in the movie for such a short, brief amount of time, but it really, really catches your attention. And really, I want this figure for the same reason that I want the other Bespin figures. I want to be able to fill out my Bespin display, because we have so many great Bespin figures that you can really build out a brilliant display. And right now, in terms of Bespin, all we've really got for Leia is her Bespin Escape outfit, which is effectively just Hoth Leia without the duffel coat on. It's a character that we have in the line many, many times already, and I've got pretty much all of them, but this is always one that stuck out as it's been missing. It's give me the Bespin dress Leia, and that will probably do me on Leia for a while, because she'll once again be in the lead of the character that I have the most figures of, and that'll make me very, very happy indeed. Princess Leia in her Bespin dress comes in at number 4.
I don't trust Lando.
Lando's got people that can fix him.
No thanks.
At number 3, we are really keeping the Bespin theme going with Lobot. This is one of the most requested Empire Strikes Back characters that are not yet in the line, and I can completely understand why. He's one of those cool background characters that has just that weird thing going on, and you're like, oh wow, I like that. What's his story? Well, his story is traumatizing, so stay out of it. This is another one of those figures that I feel like would be incredibly easy to produce. We've got like plain tunic characters in the Black Series already, so really at that point you're just looking at a head sculpt. And we've already got the cybernetics because they put them on Echo, so we know they can pull this off, and I feel like it would really elevate the Empire Strikes Back display just to have this guy lurking in the background. I think he'd look incredibly cool on the shelf. I don't think I ever had a Lobot figure growing up. It was always one that I was on the lookout for, but I never found it. So maybe this is just childhood me coming back and saying, hey, I wanted a Lobot figure when I was a kid, and now I want one now. But I feel like I'm not the only one saying it. I feel like there's a lot of people in the community who are saying we need Lobot for our Empire Strikes Back display, and I agree with all of you. I think he'd be a brilliant choice. He'd be a great figure. Lobot comes in at number 3.
How you doing, you old pirate? So good to see you.
At number 2, we have Admiral Kendall Ozzel, the guy who alerted the rebels to their presence by bringing his fleet out of hyperspace too close to the Hoth system. The Black Series has a great history of producing really, really cool Imperial officer characters. I mean, we've got Admiral Piet, so let's get the guy whose job he supplanted. Let's get the original Admiral of Death Squadron. I always really liked Ozzel as a character. He wasn't interested in any of the mumbo jumbo. He was just trying to do his job, and he wasn't satisfied with the evidence that they got from the probe droid on Hoth, which, you know, is fair enough. Sure, there's a shield generator there. So what? And you could just tell from the look on his face when Vader's like, it's the system, we're going. And he just looks at Piet, it's just like, you just had to say something, didn't you? You couldn't keep it to yourself. I absolutely love him. I think he's brilliant, and this would be such a simple Black Series figure that I don't understand why we don't have it already. I know he's not really a significant character, but he has a speaking part, and I feel like we've got figures in the line already that don't even have those. I think another reason that Ozzel sticks out to me in the series is we'd seen Vader using his Force Choke for a little bit in A New Hope. Ozzel, you just see him go all the way out. You're just like, oh wow, Vader can actually kill you with this ability. That is awesome. Back in the day when we hadn't seen the prequels yet, and we didn't really know how the Force worked, this stuck out as a kid. You could just through a TV screen just end someone, and that's just how powerful Darth Vader is. So that's mainly the reason why I want Admiral Ozzel. He really cemented that area of Star Wars lore, and he did it by giving up his life. What a champ. Admiral Ozzel comes in at number 2.
Vader, the fleet has moved out to flight speed and we're preparing to...
You have failed me for the last time, Admiral.
But the number 1 character from The Empire Strikes Back that I would like to see come to the Black Series is a snowtrooper with an E-Web cannon. I was really thinking about this, and when I decided to take the Cloud Car off the list, it left me thinking, well, what's something slightly bigger that I do really want in the line? Because, you know, I could sit here and list off background characters whose names you only know if you've spent entire evenings on Wikipedia. But really, what I'm missing in the Black Series when it comes to The Empire Strikes Back is hardware. I'm really missing something to build out the display, and the E-Web cannon is 100% something that I would go for. It recently experienced something of a resurgence when it was featured and named on screen in The Mandalorian, and I really thought that with as many figures as we get in the Mandalorian line, we would have seen the E-Web cannon already. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Vintage Collection has got it, so where's mine? Where's my E-Web cannon? And I feel like this isn't breaking my rules because it's not a vehicle. Like, this is just hardware. It's artillery. It's something that you could use to enhance a figure that you already have. I feel like a lot of us have the Snowtrooper. It's been available for quite a long time. But this would make the display look so much cooler just by giving one of these guys an E-Web. Now, they probably want to pack the Snowtrooper in with the E-Web because, you know, it's still got to have someone to use it for someone who's buying it and hasn't got a Snowtrooper. But I would buy at least 2 or 3 of these things, and I would do that because an Imperial Army display could really be enhanced with an E-Web cannon, and that would make me incredibly happy. So I don't know if they'd ever go for it, but they don't call it a wish list because it's completely reliable every time. I would love to see the E-Web come to the line, and that's why it's the number 1 thing from The Empire Strikes Back that I would like to see come to the Black Series. So there you have it, 5 choices from The Empire Strikes Back that I would like to see come to the Black Series. So let me pass this subject off to you. What are some characters from The Empire Strikes Back that you would love to get in the Black Series? I bet you thought I was gonna ask for the dinner table from the Vader scene on Bespin, didn't you? Because this is me, I love tables, and you know what? Yeah, that's a nice table. That would be a great way to display all of my Empire Strikes Back Bespin figures, put them in a table. But no, I left the table off the list. I decided to do something different this time. Coming up soon on the channel, I'm going to be doing my yearly sort through of my entire collection, where I go through, tally up everything that I've got, see where my collection is, and how much it's grown since the last time I checked. This time last year, I had 255 Black Series figures, so I'll be very interested to see how many I've got now, because it's more. It's lots more. And of course, join us next time on the Wishlist series, where we will be talking about the end of the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi. It's a movie that has a lot of potential for Black Series goodness. We just got the Return of the Jedi anniversary line. I'm just looking forward to talking about it. I love Return of the Jedi. I love all of these movies. I don't know why I always specifically say that I like this one or I like that one. I love all of them, man. I just love all of Star Wars. It's just so good. In the meantime, however, I've been Grand Moff Tony. Those were my top 5 Black Series wishlist picks for The Empire Strikes Back. You may subscribe when ready.